Hey, this is John Fernay, the co-host of the Maryland Crabs, and I am here today with a Maryland Crabcake for your listening pleasure. What's a crabcake? It's not quite a full episode, it's just a little snippet. Stay tuned and check it out. And make sure you check us out on themarylandcrabs.com. You can follow us on Twitter at MD Crabs Podcast or find us on Facebook at the Maryland Crabs Podcast. And don't forget, subscribe, rate us, iTunes. Go there now.
Hey, with us on the phone today is a 50-year legend in the music industry, guitar, piano, banjo. It's Livingston Taylor, who's going to be here in Annapolis for a very rare matinee show at the Ram's Head on stage on Saturday the 24th of November. So after you sleep off that turkey coma, you come on down. Livingston, welcome, and thank you very much for taking the time to chat with us today. How are you?
Oh, I'm really well, John, and thanks so much for having me on.
You know, it's funny, as I was, reading up about you, and it sort of dawned on me that there's no way in your career, 50 years, that you could have been anything other than a musician. I look at, your mother was a student at the Music Conservatory in Boston.
Yeah.
You're one of 5 siblings, where exactly none of them are out of the music business. And I know even your nephew, James' son, Ben, has the bug as well. Is that genetic, or is it just really great upbringing on the part of your parents?
Well, I think that there's certainly a genetic component to it. My parents, my father was a very good singer, although he went to Harvard Medical School and was trained as an internist and went into administrative medicine. The fact is that both our parents were very encouraging of the idea of us being players, musicians. It appealed to them mightily, and they were very encouraging. And also important to remember, John, we came along in a time when the music industry tide was rising, and it was rising fast. That
Sure.
Late 60s, early 70s, the multi-track recording had become widespread, and it was possible to develop and exploit a lot more personalities musically than what had happened pre-multi-track recording. So we showed up at a very fortuitous time.
Well, that's good. Well, I'll tell you, you've been showing up, like I say, for 50 years. You still do about 75 shows a year.
Yes, I do.
And I want to put you on the spot a little bit here. Do you happen to remember the one you did on November 1st of 1997?
1997, November 1st. Am I accurate in thinking I know I was the first person to play at the Ram's Head.
God damn it, you screwed me.
And I'm only I don't remember the exact date, but it was around then. And, I've worked at that lovely place many times since, and was honored to be the first person to play there.
It's funny, I was talking with Bill Mulhauser, who's the owner, and he said he didn't know whether you would remember the conversation, and he actually credits you for getting him in this business. He said it was a show that he saw of yours in the early 80s in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, that gave him the bug to get into this business, but he remembered on opening night, he wanted to have a conversation with you in the green room, and it was all about how you had said that clubs like this rarely survived and whatnot. And he and his wife Paula were back in the green room with you, and you said to him, remember these 2 words, I'll pass.
Yeah. That's funny.
It certainly made an impression on him, and here we are 21 years later. The club is still growing and everything else, and it's you kicked it all off.
Well, they've had a nice run. I just happened to be there. Make no mistake, it's a beautifully run club and restaurant. These are smart, bright people who know how to take care of their customers, and so. And if I can be included in that mix, I'm delighted because I like my audience very much as well.
Well, and, it's funny you talk about your audience, and you're known for your intimacy and being so connected to the audiences. I've seen 2 of your shows here at Ram's Head in the past, and you are so there. Is that the ideal scenario for you, a small room like that, or do you prefer a larger venue or even smaller?
I think that realistically, the Ram's Head is the perfect size venue for me. It it just makes a lot of sense. And so, that works very, very well for me. It's the type of room I tend to play. I play small theaters and clubs like the Ram's Head, and I love the idea that I'm doing a matinee, though. Oh, boy, that's there's nothing more civilized than a matinee.
Well, I'll tell you what's really fabulous is that it's Ram's Head is pretty much a 21 and up club or 21 and up room. So this is a chance actually to get the all ages. So you can some of our younger musicians and aficionados can certainly experience it. You know, at a 1 p.m. matinee, it'd be fantastic.
Oh, it's so much fun.
But hey, well, you've been to Annapolis a bunch. Do you have any? Do you get time to check out the town at all? Do you have any favorite hangouts or anything like that?
Well, I've been to Annapolis many times, and it's just Annapolis is just a wonderful historic community, and I'm very familiar with the place, and it's terrific.
Great. Well, and and over the past 50 years, you've worked with your brother, obviously, but also just Joni Mitchell, Fleetwood Mac, Linda Ronstadt, Tull. And you just recently put out there was a documentary on you, Livingston Taylor, Life is Good.
Yeah.
It premiered, last summer out at the, Woods Hole Film Festival? Did I get that right?
It certainly has been there. It's sort of, it's premiered plenty of times, but,
But tell us a little bit about it, and where can we catch it and watch it, or?
Well, certainly, parts of it are available on YouTube, John. This was a film, there were a couple of filmmakers, Peter Fish and Tracy Annarella, and they were sort of intrigued with my career and what I've done. And so, what I did was I talked them into not doing a film about me, all respect to the wonderfulness of me. I said, do a film about my classes. Do a film about what I teach, how I teach performance. Fill the film with energetic, talented, good-looking young people. People will like to watch that, and that's just what they did. And it's a terrific film, and it sort of watches a class of my students moving along. It's good.
Well, that's very cool. Well, if people that are listening, take a look for Livingston Taylor, Life is Good, and see if you can catch it and check it out. But speaking of the good life, I understand you're also a private pilot?
Yeah, I do fly. I've got a beat-up old Cessna. It's called a 205, and 1964 Cessna 205 for your airplane aficionados out there. It's a lot like a 206, Cessna 206.
Okay.
It was the precursor of that. A 6-passenger, single-engine, heavy hauler, and that's what it is.
Well,
I love to fly, and I fly a lot.
Well, I know Jimmy Buffett flies into town fairly regularly here. He does a bunch of stuff with the Naval Academy.
Yeah.
Do you fly yourself down here, or do you?
It's a bit weather contingent this time of
Right.
year, but it's certainly my plan to fly, and I've flown in many times before.
Well, you briefly mentioned it there when you were talking about your the documentary, but one of the great things is that in addition to talking the talk, you walk the walk, and you've been a full-on professor at Berklee College of Music, teaching a course on stage performance for nearly 30 years, and none of this adjunct stuff. This is a full-on professor.
Yes.
And, is that a special thrill to you, being able to shape the talent and the students of tomorrow?
Well, first off, let's be very, very clear, as any of your educators understand. The idea of making anything resembling an impression on anybody is few and far between. What really happens if you teach a course on performance and you are a professional performer, which I am, who really learns is me. I get so much information about what performance is, how you perform, what makes a good performance, all of those details and infrastructures. Oh, it's heaven.
That's a fantastic way to look at it. Well, I'll tell you, there's not I'm not sure there's a better way to end the call than to let everyone know that you're going to be getting up on stage and showing your stuff here in Annapolis on Saturday, November 24th in a rare matinee at 1 p.m. The doors will open at noon. There are still a few tickets available, and you can get them at ramsheadonstage.com, and I encourage everybody to do so. Come on out. After Thanksgiving, catch 50 years of music with Livingston Taylor. And Livingston Taylor, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate this, and I look forward to seeing you on the 24th.
Oh, John, I can't wait to see you, and I can't wait to be back in Annapolis at the Ram's Head. All right, my friend, we'll speak soon.
All right, take care. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
This has been the Maryland Crabs podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them in all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.